pleasure to introduce you to our first session of the day, Super Smoothie Delights. I don't know about you, but starting the day with a delicious smoothie filled with all the good stuff makes me feel like I'm ready to take on whatever comes my way. No one knows nutritious and delicious better than my good friend, Meghan Telpner. Meghan is an author, nutritionist, mom, and founder of the Academy of Culinary Nutrition. She's written 2 best-selling books, Undiet, Eat Your Way to Vibrant Health, and the Undiet Cookbook. Run, don't walk to grab your copy, and one lucky winner will win a copy today. Meghan's success in cultivating a global community of undiet enthusiasts and culinary nutrition experts has garnered her a feature in Forbes and ranked her as one of the top 100 female entrepreneurs in Canada. For more on Meghan, we encourage you to visit her website at meghantelpner.com. We feel very fortunate today to have her here with us to share her wisdom and beautiful energy. She inspires me daily and lately has helped me on my gluten-free sourdough bread journey. Over the next half hour, if you have questions for Meghan, feel free to put them in the Q&A section, and we'll try to get to as many as we can at the end of the session. With that, I'd like to say good morning, Meghan.
And there we are. Hi, everybody. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. What Lauren didn't mention is that we worked together in 2004, which I think is 16 years ago, almost exactly 16 years ago. And we've been in touch ever since. And so it's been really such a pleasure seeing the incredible business you've grown. And I'm just honored to be part of today. So I'm going to head back around my counter to begin the demo. Before I do, I just want to share a little bit about my journey and how I got to be making smoothies for you today. When I met Lauren, we worked for an event planning company, which obviously was not my forte, but very much hers. And I was dealing with a critical health crisis the entire time I was working there. It was actually the last job I held before I started my own business. Later that summer in 2006, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease. And I was told that there was no cure, that I would have this disease for life. And that wasn't a good enough answer for me. And so that began my journey into the health field, learning to use that room in my apartment called the kitchen, learning to cook, adopting a whole bunch of different lifestyle changes, which resulted in becoming asymptomatic from what I was told was a lifelong disease within 2 months. That is now 14 years ago. I've remained 100% symptom-free. And that's really what inspired me to pursue nutrition and health and do so from a place of inclusivity of, you know, pick up what you're ready to pick up when you're ready for it. I'm going to push you a little bit further, but really offering the opportunity to explain the whys, why we make the choices we make that can be really, really important for grounding in those habits that we know we need to make, but sometimes feel a lack of motivation towards making them. So today you have a recipe card. And I hope you've got it ready to take notes. Get out your paper because this is like a framework. I'm really great at writing recipes, atrocious at following them, and that includes my own. So I wanted to, you know, anyone can print out and follow smoothie recipes. So for those of you watching this, I really wanted to give you a little bit more, go above and beyond what I could put on paper, offer some extra tips, extra nutrition. So it's going to be a fully packed half hour. I think I have a half hour. I do have my phone standing by, not because I'm texting with my mom, but in case there's any tech issues once I'm behind the counter, I can't see messages here. So it's just so Kurt can text me if there's a tech issue. So let's get started. First thing, I'm going to take a poll. For those of you watching live, you get to make the decisions. Do you want to see how to make almond milk? How many of you are making your own almond milk? Or two, nah, I can buy it in the store. I don't even know what almond milk is. I don't care. So if you want to see me make almond milk, place your votes. Oh, I see an actual poll came up. My goodness, is it a joy to do an event with someone who professionally does events. While we wait for those records to come in, I just wanted to share that I was going to be working with Lauren this spring for our own live event, which unfortunately is being postponed. But Lauren is always a pleasure to work with. So I don't see anyone else's. I'm seeing yeses. I'm going to just go with yes, because you know what? I assumed you'd all say yes, and I didn't make it in advance because of that. So let's make an almond milk. This is the easiest thing that you can make. I'm just going to fix my screen because I am not seeing where my frame is, and I want to make sure you guys can see me fully. I think Lauren might actually be stuck on the key speaker view, so I don't know if anyone can even see me right now. Just a note, because I can't see me. But anyway, that bigger screen will do the job.
We see you.
Oh, you can see me? Okay, great. I can't see me, but that's okay. As long as you guys can see this. Yes? I'm gonna go with yes. Okay, let's make some almond milk. This is something that everyone has to learn how to make, and it is so incredibly easy, which is why we're able to slip it in on this demo. The general ratio for a nut milk, so you can do it with almonds, you can do it with sesame seeds, you can do it with a mix. It's really great with Brazil nuts, cashews, macadamia nuts. If you're a nut-free household, you can do it with dried shredded coconut. You could do it with oats. You can do it with brown rice. You can do it with hemp seeds. The general ratio for making your own milks is 1 part nut seed coconut to 4 parts water. So let's say I have approximately 1 cup of almonds in here, which I have soaked. And I soak it for 2 reasons. 1, it increases the digestibility. So it makes it easier to digest in the body. Nuts have something called enzyme inhibitors or anti-nutrients, which basically helps protect them, and seeds as well, helps protect them when they're outgrowing from insects and birds and things eating them. We want to break that down. So that's one benefit to soaking. The other is that if you don't have a high-speed blender, which I highly recommend, but if you don't, it actually helps it blend up better. So I'm going to put in here our 1 cup of nuts. I just realized I forgot one key thing. There it is. I usually have an assistant in the kitchen with me, but you know, physical distancing. So I put in my 1 cup of nuts, and I'm going to put in 4 cups of water, roughly like that. And I'm just going to blend this. So pardon the noise for a moment, but let's blend this up. So this is all you need. You can do this with a fine mesh sieve as well, or a few layers of cheesecloth. But if you're going to be doing this, and I recommend it because it's a 3-minute important thing to do if you're drinking dairy-free milks, but get a nut sack. I was in my head being like, don't say nut sack, don't say nut sack, but that's what came out. Nut milk bag. We'll go professional today. So get your nut milk bag. I like the ones that are cotton because they're machine washable. They're a lot more durable. There are synthetic ones available as well. You can find these in most health food stores. So I recommend getting it from the local small business in your neighborhood. If you can't find it there, ask them to order it. And if that's not an option, then we can go to an online massive marketplace. So I'm just going to pour this right in here. Hopefully my bowl is big enough. And then you just, see, it's hard to make nut milk without making jokes appropriate for 12-year-olds, but you then milk the nuts. So I'm just gonna give them a gentle massage. I'm so sorry, Lauren. We're just gonna squeeze this, and as you can see, thick, creamy almond milk is coming out, and that is all it takes to make your own nut milk. And what you'll find when you do it yourself is it tastes nuttier, because you will never find this much almond or any kind of nut in the store-bought kind. There's no added sweeteners, no added thickening agents, which are common, very common to keep them in solution. So if you do make your own, you'll find it will separate a little bit in the fridge. You just have to give it a shake, and then you're totally good to go. But that's all it takes to make an amazing, simple nut milk. So that was like, if I hadn't been talking, it would have been 2 minutes. So you can store this in your fridge for up to 3 to 4 days. What I also like to do is I'll actually take it, I'll store half in the freezer, either in like a mason jar like that size, or what you can do, and this is since we're a smoothie demo, get out your favorite ice cube tray, pour pour your almond milk into here, freeze it, and then you're popping in the frozen almond milk right into your smoothie. So there's super tip number 8. We'll go. So that's it. What do you do with the almond pulp? You don't have to do anything. If you want to do some things with it, you can actually dehydrate it in your oven or toaster oven, and it will make a really great gluten-free breadcrumb. So once it's dehydrated, you can put it through like your coffee grinder or spice mix with a little bit of sea salt, oregano, basil, parsley flakes, and paprika, and you now have a gluten-free breadcrumb. You can also mix it with a little bit of oatmeal and honey and make a face mask or a scrub. So, and you can also just use it as a flour, add it to things. It doesn't have a lot of taste. It's pretty dry by the time it's been dehydrated out. But those are just a few options. I sprayed milk. This was like, whenever I used to teach live classes, I'd be like, don't sit in the front row. The splash zone. Is that inappropriate? I don't know. Okay. Hopefully you're laughing. Okay, so I'm gonna just take a quick detour to just give this blender a rinse so we can get on with the smoothie. While I'm gone, I'm gonna ask a question. What is, for those of you who make smoothies, what is one ingredient that typically is always in your smoothie? So answer that while I rinse this out. Whoop, now I'll leave the lid. Okay. Now I want to see if anyone answered my question. Bananas, 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 peanut butter, blueberries, cocoa. No running in the kitchen. It's okay. I didn't have a knife in my hand. It's okay. Okay, so I'm thinking we're making milkshakes. Peanut butter, banana, we can do better. Do you know what happens when you eat a banana in your smoothie every day? You end up eating 365 bananas a year. That's too many bananas. So I should have, you know what? I'm not gonna put a banana in our smoothie today. That's it. You all discounted it. And if I'd had peanut butter in my smoothie, I would have gotten rid of that now. I'm gonna show you something else. Something even better than a banana. I'm still running in the kitchen, Kurt. Okay, so we're changing up the recipe completely, but you've got a basis. But if you're already eating bananas, let's push ourselves a little bit. So here's what we're gonna do. The first ingredient I'm gonna try and follow is our 1 cup of almond milk. So 1 cup is like approximate, right? Doesn't need to be exactly. I'll measure it for everyone's benefit today. We're gonna put in our 1 cup of almond milk. And again, if you're freezing your almond milk, it's really nice to just add those ice cubes in, and then you automatically get like a cold, frothy situation happening. So 2 cups are about 2 large kale leaves. So kale is, I would say, a phase 2 green. If you're just on the phase 1 greens in your smoothie, go with a spinach or a romaine. This is how you de-stem kale when you're not fancy. Don't worry, I haven't been on the floor. So just pull that out. And because people like really want to love kale, but most don't, this is a really great way to start getting the kale in. It's rich in chlorophyll. Did you guys know that human beings are a bit like plants in that we can actually make energy from the sun when we are consuming chlorophyll? So when we consume that green, the chlorophyll is what does photosynthesis in plants. Humans can do that too. We want to eat our greens, and in the summer when they're fresh and widely available and grown locally, get in the greens. It's also when they're most delicious. Now, because we're pushing it a little further, how many people have had their dose of parsley today? I hear crickets. That means nobody. So on my way to my car from my house, I stopped in my garden and I grabbed some parsley, and I also grabbed some cilantro. Now, these 2 herbs are very underrated in terms of the amount we actually use them. How many people buy them and then throw them out at the end of the week, right? Because you just let them rot in the bag. Bring them home, rinse them, wrap them in a towel, dry them a little, wrap them in a towel, store that in your fridge, and they'll stay much fresher. But parsley and cilantro have an incredible ability to help draw out and remove from the body heavy metals. So they are they have a true detoxification action. And I'm not gonna be the nutritionist that's like, have a green smoothie, it's gonna detox you. It really won't. It will infuse a lot of nutrition into your body, but certain foods do have that detox powder. Now, if you're one of those people that like eating cilantro makes you feel like you've been like punched in the mouth with toxic poison, don't eat it. There's a certain enzyme some people have, some people don't have, that can actually make it taste. The best description I've heard is like the hot soapy dishwasher smell. But if you are someone who likes cilantro, add it to your smoothies, add some parsley in, and you can do it little bits at a time. Start with just a pinch, and you slowly retrain your taste buds to not have a banana peanut butter milkshake in the morning, but to have something that is truly infused with a lot of nutrition. I'm not a peanut butter fan. There are some anti-nutrients in peanuts. It can be rich in aflatoxin. It can be used to actually cleanse soil. So if you are going to eat peanut butter, you want to ensure that it is organic. Now we are ditching the banana. We are not putting bananas in here. You know what, I'll put a half banana because I'm like, we need some fruit, but I'm going to show you how to avoid the banana. If I had other fruits at home, I would have added instead maybe some frozen blueberries or strawberries. So I'm going to put in just a third of a banana. So I'm sticking with the recipe a little bit, but some other really great ways to add creaminess and sweetness. Let's do that. How about half of an avocado? So an avocado, not on your recipe, but an avocado is a great option. I just realized I don't have a spoon. Will this one peel out? So avocado is a great option to add the creaminess and the bananas offer to a smoothie without that level of sugar. So bananas are super sweet because they are sugar. I mean, they are rich in potassium, which is good. Good for the heart, but you know, not every day. So what you can do instead is add your avocado, and you can add a medjool date. Medjool dates are very sweet tasting. They're also rich in B vitamins, and that's what helps fuel the cells of the body, gets that mitochondria running. So we've now added in our banana and our banana replacer, which is half a avocado and a date. We're gonna add a 1/4 cup of walnuts. So walnuts are a great example of what in the health field we call the doctrine of signatures. What does that look like? It looks like a brain. My 3-year-old son calls them brain nuts. They're incredibly high in omega-3 essential fatty acids. And omega-3s are really important for bringing down inflammation in the body when in the right ratio with omega-6s, brings down inflammation in the body, it fuels the nervous system, it fuels the brain. It helps stabilize mood. It helps lower glycemic load and stabilize blood sugar. So we're less inclined to have those massive spikes and drops, which you may experience if you're having, you know, banana, orange juice, fat-free yogurt smoothies in the morning. So we love walnuts. And because a lot of people don't actually love the taste on their own, throw it in the smoothie. Why not just put them all in? Let's be honest. This is my lunch today. So making sure it's going to sustain me. The next thing I'm going to add in are, let me go in order, hemp seeds. So a tablespoon of hemp seeds. Hemp seeds, again, are a wonderful source of a plant-based protein and also the optimal ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 for anti-inflammatory properties. Omega-6 often gets it becomes the punching bag of the fats. But the problem with omega-6 is that the way we typically consume them in a standard diet is we have them way above what we should be consuming, and we're having it in any processed food that has canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, and also grain-fed poultry and beef. When they're consuming these grains and not their natural diet and soy, so these omega-6s are going way out of whack, which then promotes an inflammatory response in the body. But we want the optimal balance. We need them both in our diet, but sometimes we need to focus a little bit more on making sure we're getting those omega-3s in. So that's why we've got hemp in there. And you'll see I am loading it up with different kinds of fat with different fat profiles. The next fat I'm adding is flax oil. So again, an omega-3, you always want to buy your flax oil in a glass bottle and you store it in your fridge or your freezer. It won't freeze. It is, again, another great source of omega-3s. It also has lignans in it, which are good for hormonal balance. Now, I'm supposed to add a zucchini, but I went to the zucchini store. I went to the market yesterday and again this morning, and the zucchinis were looking less than favorable. And given our current global circumstance, I didn't want to keep going to more stores. So that's why I brought the avocado. It was going to be our green. But zucchini is also nice as an introductory green food to add to your morning smoothies because it's completely neutral tasting and will completely disappear. So if you're not ready to taste the green in your smoothie, add some romaine or spinach and half a zucchini and a little bit of, well, avocado is green, add that in. And then you can even just have the rest of your smoothie just as it is, and slowly you'll pull back on your regulars and up the super nutrition components. I also suggest a pinch of cinnamon in here if you want. It just gives it a bit of a decadent flavor. Okay, now let's add a few other things because we can. So the other thing I'm going to add, I just need a spoon. Brush through my spoons. Sorry guys, it's been a long time that I've done a demo and not had someone by my side to be like, could you grab me this? Because I forgot it. So I'm adding a protein powder. So just to up that protein level, what I have here is a Great Lakes collagen. So it's a neutral protein. It does come from cows. So if you are vegan or don't want to consume this, two of the other protein brands that I like, I hope I'm allowed to recommend brands. I don't work for any companies. I'm not an ambassador or anything, but the other two that I trust and recommend is Genuine Health, has a few different really great proteins, and Sun Warrior also makes a vegan sprouted brown rice protein and a blend that is hemp, cranberry, and pea, I believe. I'm not a big fan of straight up pea proteins. It's really hard on the digestive system, and peas are becoming a little bit overdone. I'm also not a big fan of the whey proteins because that component of dairy is one of the most allergenic, meaning that some people can digest dairy in some amounts, but often, aside from the lactose issue, it can be a casein or a whey or one of the dairy proteins that's causing digestive upset or skin issues or body pain or any number of things. So it's not something that I typically would recommend every single day, especially as most people, and it depends on your ethnicity and genetics, where you're from, but most of us actually lose or reduce our ability to digest dairy after the age of 2, when historically children are weaned. So something to keep in mind. So again, we just want to try changing up. Now, how am I doing on time? I'm almost, we're going to do it. We're going to make it and have time for a question. I'm going to add one more ingredient, the weirdest one that I brought today. I just felt like a children's host a little bit, like, and what have I brought here today? So I have an aloe leaf. You probably have an aloe plant in your house. You should, because it's also really good for burns if you burn yourself in the kitchen. But aloe gel, so I'm just going to slice off a chunk of this. And if you've ever been to like the Caribbean or the desert, you've probably seen them growing everywhere. So aloe gel, the inside, now not the outside. If you eat the outside, which, you know, all the power to you, you might end up in the loo the rest of the day in the bathroom because it does have a profound laxative effect. But the gel inside, so let me just fillet this thing. It has a naturally quite a strong bitter taste, but you don't taste it in your smoothie. But it has these special carbohydrates and this mucilaginous effect. I don't know if you can see my knife. This mucilaginous effect, another word for that is snotty. But it actually is incredibly soothing and healing to the lining of the intestinal tract. So in inflammatory bowel protocols or anyone with digestive upset, making a pudding that's got these mucilaginous foods like flax and chia and aloe gel with a little bit of cacao and honey and maybe some peppermint oil can be a really soothing option. So did you guys learn something? Did I overload you? Let's blend this up, and while I come sip it by the screen, I'll be able to answer your questions. So I'm just adding a little more water just so that I get it to the desired consistency. And this will be my lunch today. So thanks for joining me while I make lunch. Alrighty. So here we have, look at that green goodness. All right, what questions. I forgot my glasses. Get your questions up. Oh, am I done, Lauren?
No. I have questions for you. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm going to come closer.
Okay, so the first question, someone wants to know, any tips on making oat milk that isn't slimy afterwards?
No, you can't really because of the nature of the oats, which begs the question, how are they doing it in commercial production? And oat milk's really good. I drank it one time in my life only, and it was when I was, my son had just been born, because it does have galactagogue effect, so it can promote breast milk production, but it's not my favorite milk. It's pretty thick.
Okay, so no way around that. Sorry, Jake, who asked that question. Next question is, which non-dairy milk is your favorite and most versatile for various recipes? So I know you use today.
Probably almond milk, but because different nuts have different nutritional benefits, if I'm going to do something in a smoothie, using like a Brazil nut is a really good option because people don't tend to eat a lot of them, but 3 Brazil nuts a day has your daily recommended intake of selenium, which is really important for bone health. So I would try, like I always recommend using something you wouldn't normally use. Like if you're going to make your own hummus, don't do it with chickpeas. Do it with like kidney beans or black beans because it's not what you would typically use.
Okay. And what do you say for people who are concerned about the high fat content in nuts?
Fat does not make us fat. What does it is sugar. Sugar, refined carbohydrates. So if you think about a calorie intake where you can have a handful of walnuts or like a giant bag of jelly beans, it may be the same calorie intake, they're going to function completely differently in the body. Where sugar, all the processing, all the energy has been done in the factory, you eat it and it goes straight into your bloodstream. It's a survival mechanism. Your body is going to work to get that into different parts of your body, into your cells, will store it as glycogen in the liver, and then it converts to fat on the body when it's beyond what your body can use. Whereas something like walnuts or other nuts, it's a slower metabolic process. It doesn't spike that blood sugar. So as it gets digested and assimilated, your body can more efficiently use the energy from it. So instead of getting the spike and crash like you would from a banana or eating a ton of watermelon or eating a ton of dates or eating a ton of candy or white rice or white bread or rice cakes or any of these more refined or high sugar foods, where you get that spike and drop, when you eat higher fat and higher protein foods, it's a more steady release of energy, and you actually might find you feel more satiated quicker and for a longer stretch of time. You have less sugar cravings, and so it can actually completely shift your metabolism. I eat roughly 2 tablespoons of ghee, which is like butter, every morning in my elixir, and it's changed the way I feel and the way I eat.
Yeah,
and my body size and shape, if the fat isn't a concern.
Thank you. Sorry, the questions are rolling in. Everybody's loved your session this morning. And for those of you who enjoyed this morning, Meghan has a ton of resources and great courses. I encourage you to go and visit her website because, as you can tell, she's just an amazing person. So
I have, if anyone wants, like, don't leave now because it's available anytime. But if you go to culinarynutrition.com/free training, all one word, it's a 5-day, 5-part free mini training where we make a banana chocolate chip muffin from scratch.
Divine. Love it.
So do that.
Okay, one last question from our lovely Lizelle. Is there a formula for how much fruit to veg ratio is optimal so nothing is so high in sugar but it's still tasty? And side note, I loved your tip about the zucchini. I've started doing that, and you're right. Like, it's neutral tasting. You don't even notice it. It's great in the freezer. So back to Lizelle, the question is the formula for how much fruit to veg ratio, what's the optimal ratio so that it's not high in sugar but tasty?
Yeah, the optimal is as little as possible. And same goes for if you're making juices with fruits or if you're making popsicles or you're making any dessert. So what you find is that as you slowly reduce your intake of those things, you need less and less, and you can reset your sugar set point. I made the decision just over a year ago, and I have a blog post coming out about it next week, that I eliminated all sugar. So a banana in my smoothie right now is like, feels a little decadent. And it was just because I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't sleeping well and was sort of developing some health concerns. But you just want to go less and less and less. And sugar is one of those things that the more you have it, the more you want it, the more desensitized your taste buds are to that actual flavor and taste. Same thing happens with salt too. The more processed salty food you eat, the more you're going to feel like things don't taste like anything if you don't have a lot of salt. So I wouldn't say there's like an exact ratio. I would say, let's just start moving it back. So maybe it's a quarter of the amount of fruit to 3/4 veg and other superfood. And by superfoods, I mean like nuts and seeds and other just nutrient dense things. I don't think you need all the, the powders and potions necessarily.
Awesome. Well, I wish we had more time. We might have to do this again, but thank you so much for your lovely energy this morning. I'm thrilled you could join us today. And anything else you want to share with everyone before we say goodbye?
Yes. If you love this and you're like, I want more of that, how can I learn more? I run the Academy of Culinary Nutrition. Registration is open for our fall 14-week certification program. So head over to culinarynutrition.com and you'll see a link. You can either sample a class or you can see the link to learn more. And there's lots of other stuff we have going on. So if this is something you're curious about or want to pursue, then definitely come check us out. We're running a summer series. Our first one's today, so you can't join that one because you're here. But if you sign up, you can watch the recording tomorrow. And that one's all about ice cream. So yeah, join us. We'd love to have you over there. And thank you, Lauren, for hosting this amazingly important event today, giving me the opportunity to be part of it and for all the sunshine you bring to the world. And I'm going to help you. We're going to get through that gluten-free bread crisis together.
It's a struggle, but we're going to do it together.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.